podcast. This is episode 80 of the cast. Can't believe we've done 80 of them. Oh my God. Tonight on the cast, we've got Hoffman and Wolf, and we're going to be talking about the finale of She-Hulk. We're going to be talking about the finale of The Rings of Power. We're going to be talking about episode 6 of Andor and House of the Dragon as well. So without further ado, here come the guys. Make sure if you're new to the channel, give us a follow, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment below if you're watching a replay. And yeah, here they come. Say hi to the guys.
Oh, episode 80, Finto.
Yo, what's up?
We made it to 80. We don't hate each other yet. It's nice.
I can't. I actually like, and I know 80 probably doesn't like feel like a big number for how old the channel is, but we only do them once a week, and some we've missed maybe 3 or 4 weeks since we started. So, you know, I think it's impressive. I think it's impressive to go 80 weeks of podcasting, skipping a few. Like, you know, I think we're doing really good.
Yeah, I mean, life happens, but we're keeping it consistent, and I love that.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
I've had relationships way shorter than this podcast.
Get them. Guys, how was the week? How was everybody's week? Were you doing anything interesting?
Oh, solid week here in Florida. It's actually like gotten cold here a little bit. Like there's been a breeze on my body as I've left, and so like I'm going outside, and I'm not watching as much content as I usually do, and I hate calling it content, but TV shows and all that. Yeah. But like I feel like I watched everything this week. I'm also not sure if I watched everything this week. So as we go along, there might be something we bring up. I'm like, oh wait, I'm supposed to watch that because I feel lost. Yeah, dude. I feel lost in all these shows right now.
It's been hard, dude. But I think like the last couple of this week showed the end of a couple of shows. So we're gonna have a couple of things off the weekly schedule. So it'll free it up a little bit at least. But yeah, no, it's been really tough. As I mentioned this last week. Alex was obviously absent from the cast last week, but I bet we were talking about the same topic last week because there was just so much to talk about. But I was doing it in a schedule like, tomorrow for me, Monday for me, I'll watch House of the Dragon after work. And then Tuesday, there's usually nothing. But then Wednesday, it's Andor. Thursday, it's She-Hulk. Friday, it's Rings of Power. And then you're watching movies and you're doing all sorts of bits in between. So like, yeah, I find if I don't have a timetable or a schedule for it, I got to... I'm lost, like, so I gotta treat it like it's school or something, and have a table.
Well, I feel the same way, man. Like I came back and I was just like, I'm tired. I have to go back to work the next day and whatnot. And I've been so busy. I get off work and I'm just like pass out for a little bit, come back, and I'm trying to stream again. So it's like, like trying to juggle all this stuff, trying to get back into the shows. And I actually missed most of Andor, but I finished Rings of Power.
So. Yeah. So you didn't see the latest episode of Andor?
No.
Funny for me now, I've everyone knows I'm a massive Star Wars sweaty, and I've really disliked Andor so far this season. I know, Hoffman, you have a different opinion, which is great. But this week, I would say is the first episode that has really felt like Star Wars to me, and I've really enjoyed it. And this week's one really felt like a proper prequel to Rogue One to me. Like, it felt like Star Wars. It was really good.
I want to jump into that when we get to the Andor section because I don't know what people mean. I don't know what you mean or what people mean when they say it doesn't feel like Star Wars. So we're gonna keep that one in the back of your head, buddy. I'm coming for you.
Oh yeah, please do. Yeah. So look, we'll kick off the show with She-Hulk, I think, because it was the finale. Alex being a massive Hulk head, I am dying to hear what you think of this because there's some pretty controversial things in the episode. There's some pretty cool things, in my opinion, in the episode, but there's a lot of shit that people aren't liking. So. What did we think? Roundtable season finale. What did you think?
Alex, you can go first since it's your show. It's your baby.
All right. Well, it's not my show. That's exactly what the title was.
Yeah, exactly.
God, like the finale, honestly, I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was terrible. I think it could have had a bit more points to work on, but other than that, like it was fourth wall breaking, which it's exactly what she does in the Sensational She-Hulk, in which case she like gets in and talks to the writers for like the comics and tells them like what she wants done. And so they're kind of doing the same thing. And it feels kind of fluid in that sense because things were kind of going crazy. And she's like, what the hell's going on? Why is Bruce back? Why are Intelligentsia like being weirdos? And how the hell did Todd get like a serum and it somehow works and now he's a Hulk? It just seems really out of place. So like, it was really nice that she went to go talk to basically like the studio head and was like, can you fix it? And They kind of did. It still wasn't a great ending, but it was a cool moments of like, oh, you guys remember this? You guys remember that? Here's the closure to this. We'll learn more later. And that was fun. That felt nice and comfortable. But I still think that like for a show like this, as much as I'm happy with the sensational She-Hulk kind of references, I still think we needed like like an extra scene to show like a true villain at the end of it and being like, there's actually another evil coming about. Because like that's the whole idea with comics is like, even if you finish that series, near the end of it, there's something that pops up on the side. There's like a little thing that references like, oh my God, like you see a boot or something and it's like a silver boot and you're like, oh my God, it's the Silver Surfer, or oh my God, it's Doctor Doom. Like it's somebody that we know.
Gotta keep people reading, right? And
yeah.
Gotta keep people watching. But it's like the way this show ended for me, like I found it funny. There was some really funny parts. I thought, where she's talking about smashing Matt Murdock and all. I was like, yeah, haha, that's great. But I'm kind of watching all this happen. And when she broke the fourth wall, I thought I sat on my Apple TV remote for a second. I was like, what the hell? And I was like, oh yeah, okay, grand. This is actually happening in the show. That was fun. I loved all that. But when they started just like scratching stuff from the storyline, I was just like, what the fuck? I was like, so we've watched 9 episodes of this show and now the blood doesn't matter, means nothing. Let's like just get rid of all of this buildup. Let's just, not bring the leader in. It was just really weird and really kind of stupid. Yeah. It felt like it was a little too kind of, on the nose, which kind of annoyed me in a way because I just felt like, and we didn't even see Josh. That wasn't explained. She runs into the dude who tried to mug her on the street as well again and doesn't even ask him, who hired you? Who are you working for? So shit like that just kind of annoyed me. And I understand she wanted to, I know it's like a play on the comics and stuff and she wanted to just change the story, but it just, bro, I don't know. It just kind of annoyed me that, we sat through 9 episodes of a story buildup and then it was all literally erased in front of us.
It was just taken out. And I completely agree with you. And I really think this was honestly the perfect setup for it to be like, haha, Abomination is actually still evil and he hates She-Hulk and anybody that's Hulk related and you can be powerful and be against her. Like that would have been really cool. But he was still like, yeah, I just kind of like sold this place, trying to make some extra money. And yeah, I transformed into and it was like, come on, man, like that's so lackluster.
Bro, how small was Hulk beside Abomination?
Oh, like it's crazy. Like that's kind of how it looks in the comics as well. Like because Abomination's huge compared to Hulk, but Hulk just gets stronger over time and is able to overpower him.
Because I know in the Edward Norton movie, there's not that much of a difference between them. Like it's not as drastic, I don't think. So
and I think and it's only like slightly taller, like with Abomination. That's the whole idea is like you're supposed to see that the big bad is bigger than the person that you're rooting for. Yeah. And that's why you see like when you see the overcoming stage, then it's like, oh yeah, little guy took down the big guy, and that's the fun part. Yeah. Also, really quick note, Finto, how did you feel about the 2 out of 3 for Daredevil? Because I remember you were saying you wanted 3, like you were being promised 3 episodes, and you technically got 2.
As we were going, I didn't think we were even going to get the second. I thought it was going to be one and done. So I don't know. It was kind of funny that he just like literally dropped into the episode like, in the middle of a field. There's nothing around him, but he just literally plops down. So it's like, where did he come from? Like, and I guess that, that's all part of the joke. But I liked him in the show. I thought it was hilarious that at the very end of the show he gets to meet the Hulk. I'm just like, oh my God, Matt Murdock is meeting the Hulk right now. This is actually crazy. I definitely want your thoughts on Scar in a minute, but I won't say anything yet. But like, yeah, I don't know. Like I had been hearing like, rumors of 3 episodes, then rumors of 1, and then we got 2. So for the Matt Murdock stuff, I'm actually quite happy with how it turned out. I thought he was quite good. I like the funny side of Daredevil. I'm not too, like bet down on him being dark and being like the Dark Knight or whatever in Hell's Kitchen. I think him having a funny side is actually quite good. I think Charlie Cox is a phenomenal actor, and I think he can do any direction they want to bring that character. He can pull it off. Like this is just evidence of that, So yeah, I'm happy enough with it. Like I know a lot of people didn't like the show at all. A lot of people only liked a very, very few couple of episodes. I really enjoyed the first 4. I thought 5, 6, and 7 were trash. And then 8 and 9 were great, in my opinion, like a lot of fun. But the 9th one was just a bit too crazy for me. I think it just got a bit too wild. You know, like I'm all for them breaking the fourth wall and all this stuff. And when she went to the real world, I saw some people like breaking that down, and they were saying like, "Oh, I wonder did they change this very late in the game?" But that like the where she first jumps into the tile on Disney Plus, like that was in the very first trailer. So I'm like, you know, how much have they
We're
actually
aware.
changed? I don't think they changed that much. You know, the Kevin Feige robot like being an AI and all, I thought was very funny. I hated the
very
whole.
good nod.
Yeah.
Not
Hated the Todd story. Good, like, you know, just so stupid. It was so obvious as well. Like, and it was just like, oh my god, I can't believe they're actually making this guy the head of intelligentsia or whatever they're called. It was just so, like, it was painful to watch. But overall, I'd say mid enough show. Definitely not the worst thing that Disney Plus have put out, but absolutely not the best either. You know
what? Bro, the series fucking sucked. What are you talking about?
No, bro, worst, no. Half of it for me. Half
one is
of it
worse.
Miss Marvel was way worse in my opinion.
No way,
yeah,
bro.
dude.
Miss Marvel was taking his shit the whole time. Like
it was awful.
Peaked. It peaked at episode 1. It was kind of doing a little bit of roller coaster at 2, and then it just plummeted by the time it got to episode 3.
Dude, okay, Miss Marvel actually had an entire story, characters that mattered.
Calm down, sir. Calm down. A story. Calm down.
It did have a story. She went and found herself in Pakistan. Her grandma was part of it. There was so much more story. She-Hulk literally had nothing going on the entire time. And the only reason that you don't think it's the worst is because they popped a bunch of cameos in on you. They're fooling you. They pulled the wool of your eyes, man. Miss Marvel was a much better show,
though, right?
That is the beauty of the MCU. I agree with Finto.
Give me the connective
like that's
tissue.
the thing.
That's the cherry on the top of the MCU. It's not what makes it. It's what makes it great. This isn't even good. This series finale sucked. Like, it was fun because of the fourth wall break, but I feel like they got to this point in the writer's room where they're like, what She-Hulk says in it, where she's like, this ending sucks. Like, I literally feel like they sat in the writing room and we're writing this and like, dude, this sucks. Like, we don't know how to wrap up and do a series finale or a season finale for the show because none of this fucking matters and none of this makes sense. There's too many plot lines that don't even make sense at all. That they don't intertwine with one another. They don't speak to each other. It was a fucking mess of a series, dude. It was so bad the entire time.
It was sort of the point though, Hoffman. Like that was the point. Like they literally took it from the comics. They're like, She-Hulk goes out, tells the writers, you need to fuck off. You need to change things up and make things a little bit better. And it wasn't like perfect,
so
but like they fixed them.
That they read the comics and were like, hey, that was a really shitty comic storyline. We should fuck up our entire season so we could do that in the series finale.
It was actually well liked though. Like that was a well liked series. It really was.
Dude, She-Hulk has never been read that much in the comic industry. She's a beloved character for sure, but her comic book sales have never done that well. No. Like, they have not. Like, it is not a series that has ever taken off in the industry. And I'm sorry, but this show just like it blows, man. I liked a lot of it, especially the fourth wall breaking when she's being tongue in cheek about smashing Mac Murdock. Fucking hilarious. When she's like asking about the X-Men and biting her tongue. Hilarious. Like, that stuff's all good. Like, they made a lot of clever stuff, but overall, man, it's just kind of meh. Like, why does Daredevil even show up in the series season finale of this? Like, why is he even there? I don't like why.
Because that's the point. Like, they added him in. Like, she wanted Daredevil to come back, and he came back. That's the whole point
to this.
It's as if she has the power to kind of manipulate the story, like, you know, because it's like, I want him to pop back in, and then it's like, boom, he just pops back in, you know.
Yeah, give her a little. Let her have some.
Oh, she got some. Don't worry.
Yeah,
she did.
Yeah, she got quite a bit.
And now we're skipping over the whole the World War Hulk, whatever, Planet Hulk storyline, and we just get this weak ass version of his son who like just looks so fucking
weird ass looking hair.
Dude, what is he, a monk?
She did mention a movie though for Hulk, right?
Yes.
Kevin said, let's not get ahead of ourselves or something like that. He shot it down.
Yeah, no, but doesn't she? Wasn't when she's talking to the camera. Like, she's talking to the fourth wall, and then you know, they mentioned something about the Hulk, and she's like, no, forget about that. We'll leave it for the movie. Like, so
yeah,
you know, I think she's kind of confirmed that the movie's coming, and obviously them bringing Scar and stuff like it. You know, it's definitely coming. Like,
right, and it sounds like they're gonna try to do a Planet Hulk, which is honestly I think it's gonna be a trash fire now because they already fucked up Sakaar. I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do with that. I think Grandmaster's still alive, so like I don't know what they're gonna do with him. Maybe they're gonna have another contest of champions. I'm not too sure. Maybe we're gonna actually see Beta Ray built. Like, there's got to be cameos coming in for that. But like, other than that, we do need to find out who he basically mated with and got Scar. And we got to find out why the hell his hair is like kind of that way, because it's kind of weird. Like, he looks like a barbarian, man. You should have brought him in looking like a tough asshole.
Yeah.
He looks so tame and everything, and it's just that's what they've done with the Hulk, though,
very
as well,
timid.
right?
Yeah,
he's
like
just
very
kind of real
timid
shy.
person.
Like, oh, I can't wait. Like, I'm really shy and nervous about meeting like 7 humans. Like, fuck off. Like, come on, bro.
Exactly. Like, he should have been standing there and been like, where am I?
Who the fuck are these people?
Exactly. But like, they're like, oh, it's family, and I was like, get the fuck out of here.
That's a furious shit.
Yeah.
I wonder were they actually ripping the piss out of like Vin Diesel and shit, like, the whole family stuff. I feel they were. I'm pretty sure they were.
Fucking Vin Diesel sitting there doing the Leonardo DiCaprio thing. He's like, woo, look at that. I got the reference.
Yeah. What do you think of the rumors? Chilling in the basement in the chat is talking about Han Solo as Red Hulk and Thunderbolt Ross. What do you make of this?
I think that with Harrison Ford, I think that's going to work really well. He's got a really good face to be like angry looking and to be like this menacing kind of person. Like, he has a really good face for that kind of stuff. Han Solo about to get used.
Nice.
Great comment of the stream so far. I gotta say, look, for anybody who knows me knows I've been a fucking Star Wars lover since I was 6 years old. I love Han Solo, I love Harrison Ford, but the man is too old. I'm sorry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's getting injured walking around the set of like Star Wars Episode 7, and that was filmed fucking 7 years ago. You know what I mean? Or sorry, released 7 years ago. So probably filmed about 8 or 9 years ago. And like, he's falling over and breaking his ankle and shit. Like, part of me, I'm like, yeah, okay, that's great. We're getting him in. But it's like, and I hate to say this, but like, how much time does Harrison Ford have left? It breaks my heart to think that he might be gone soon, but he doesn't have that much time left. You want to be hiring actors that are going to come in and be able to do cameos like this for 10 years. Do you know what I mean? They have another 10-year plan. Let's just get someone in who's like maybe 60. You know what I mean? I think we were talking about this on Discord, I think, and someone mentioned maybe like Brad Pitt or something, because like, he's still good looking, he's still young, but he's actually kind of old at the same time. So he's right there on the sweet spot, So someone like that would be a great cast because they can do it for 10 years. It's
just the face, man. Like, when you get into the CGI things, you got to think about the face, and like, I don't see Brad Pitt and go like, man, I'm kind of afraid of him. Like, I see Harrison Ford and I can see like he's actually done scowls, he's done like angry faces and whatnot, and I think it would look great. I honestly think the way to fix it is to have him still be Thunderbolt Ross, but when he takes the serum or he becomes Red Hulk, then they swap actors, and now he's someone different, has a different voice, has a different look and different mindset.
That's fine. Again, that's fine, and I understand that. You're only going to have to shoot Harrison for a couple of scenes, but at the same time, knocking on wood here, but let's say Harrison Ford dies in 5 years. Are we recasting Thunderbolt again? You know what I mean? Like, realistically, the Thunderbolts movie isn't coming out till 2024. Like, fucking, like, Harrison could be gone by then. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, what age is he now? He's in his 80s, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's like 82. Yeah, he's in his 80s some point. Like, he looks like.
What I mean? He's got money, of course. Like, the rich usually live long, but at the same time, like, it's going to get to a point where he's going to be too old to act. And what do you do then? Like, are we going to go the whole Star Wars CGI route where we're just putting in young Mark Hamill everywhere? Like, are we putting in a younger Harrison Ford? I just don't know if it works. It's not practical.
Yeah,
he's 100% not going to do any action. Like, but and I understand. Like, the second he turns into Red Hulk, it's all CGI from there, and that's fine.
Right.
But I still think he's going to look very old walking around in the suit, recruiting people and talking to Bucky and all these guys. Like, I just don't know if he has it in him to do that acting anymore.
To put it kind of in perspective, our boy Anthony Hopkins, Odin, he's 84 years old and he's like retired from like the MCU and stuff, So and Harrison Ford is only like just a little bit behind him, although they look different in age. Harrison looks much younger. Do you think they're picking Harrison Ford because Disney just has a treasure trove of Harrison Ford CGI already built in and it's going to save them some money? They don't have to render them.
Maybe.
I would assume so.
didn't we just hear that Bruce Willis sold his likeness for like CGI recreation?
No, did he?
That's cool.
Yeah, he did. But like, he's unfortunately got a very serious disease and he can't speak anymore or anything. So, but he's actually sold his likeness now so that they can make movies with his face. And I think that that's what's probably going to become the norm. So you'll get people like Harrison when he turns 90, just going, yeah, use my likeness all you want, make money for my kids and my grandkids and all this sort of stuff. And boom, he just sits back and enjoys retirement while he's still making shit tons of cash. Like, that's the way to do it for sure.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if it's a smart idea. Like, you talk about Anthony Hopkins, which is fair enough, but the guy was in the MCU since pretty much the beginning, close to the beginning, and he was in it for 15 years, 16 years, and that's fair enough. He's retiring, but you're getting somebody in who's nearly the same age as him, and it's only the start of his career.
Right. That's my point. Yeah, that's my point with that. It's like, it's kind of weird. And I don't think Harrison Ford has it 100% in terms of acting chops anymore. I just got done watching the Blade Runner movie, the latest one he did, 2042, and he's not he doesn't have it like he used to. He's not the old Harrison Ford from the Indiana Jones movies and stuff, from The Fugitive or whatever it was he did. He just doesn't 100% have it like he used to. You lose something in your voice, you lose something in your body when you get older, and he just kind of went away with it.
Yeah, his voice is getting shaky, and he's he's an old man now. Yeah,
this does make sense though, because if you remember back during D23. Harrison Ford was pictured with all the Marvel people, he was taking pictures of Brie Larson and the lady who plays Miss Marvel and stuff. He was with all of them. Yeah. And there's rumors that they shelved that announcement to not take away from Indiana Jones or Star Wars stuff going on at D23.
Okay. Ballpark thought. If we're still talking old people, and he's actually a bit younger, what about Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger? And even then, before I finish this up, let's go even younger. Scourge is dead. How about we bring Carl Urban and have his face as Red Hulk? And
I would not cast Carl Urban in such a fucking small role.
He's already been in the MCU anyway.
Small role? That's a fucking great role for him. Can you imagine that? He's Red Hulk has such a badass kind of voice about him, and he's and he talks of
God, bro.
Dude, he's great. Have you ever seen Hulk and the Agents of Smash? That show is awesome. It was fun.
Dude, we are getting one Red Hulk movie, one Red Hulk appears, and that's it. He's a one shot, dude. There's no way. He's gonna be one and done.
Stephen Lang, that's my cast for Thunderbolt Ross.
He's Stephen Lang?
Yeah, bring him up on the screen there, one of these if you can. He's my cast for Thunderbolt Ross.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Do you know this dude?
Yeah, he's the old military guy from Avatar.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
And he plays Sully in the fan-made Uncharted movie. And it's the perfect cast for Sully. He's incredible.
Well, I can't get him up.
Well, and also,
this is.
But also, if you were to think in terms of Arnold Schwarzenegger, too, you think about it this way: if he becomes Red Hulk, then you have Lou Ferrigno, who's the original Hulk, and kind of have that slight clash from there. I think that would be kind of fun, just to have that reference. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The two bodybuilders going at it again once more. That would be really fun.
That'd be cool. I just I can't picture Stallone or Arnie as Thunderbolt Ross. Red Hulk, sure, why not? But it would be weird if they have just a normal speaking dude for Thunderbolt Ross, and then when he turns into a Red Hulk, he starts sounding like Stallone. It'd just be so weird, dude. It's fuck, that serum fucked him up.
Can you imagine?
Oh, bro, that'd be so funny.
He's like, Hulk is my property.
Yeah. So yeah, the She-Hulk show. It's a fat L from Half and Zaberwolf. You liked it, yeah?
Which one?
It was She-Hulk. Was a W for you?
Yeah, I forgot it. So forgettable.
Yeah,
it was half dub. I would say so.
Yeah, it's a mid-tier show for me, 5 out of 10 sort of thing. I think the episodes 5, 6, and 7 bring the show down so much. I'm curious what the rewatch value of it might be, because the episodes are so short that it might be fun. But I just know when I go back and watch it now, I'm gonna be so pissed off when I see Josh showing up, because I'm just that story goes nowhere. Then it's when I see this idiot Todd showing up, I'm just oh my god, this guy's the leader the whole time. It's just so stupid. I'm so gonna be so annoyed.
And the MCU has a MCU has a terrible streak of taking an organization and just shitting all over it and making it look like it's the worst, most baby thing ever. Because in like the intelligentsia is a big organization thing. You know, same thing with the TVA is a big organization thing, and they just kind of squandered that as well. Even though it was fun to kind of have those moments, they still kind of like really dug it into the ground and said, you know what, it sucked.
It's because they have writers and showrunners on their show who don't understand the scope and the scale of the comics. Like Feige, if they brought in Shield now, Shield would be this tiny organization that Captain America fights with for one movie and it's gone, right?
Well, it's sword now, at least, you know.
But Feige, who was, you know, I guess a comic book guy allegedly, and he had people surrounding him who were also comic book people, who understood like how big these organizations were. Like Shield was massive, and Shield shouldn't be just this one-off thing. It should be this encompassing thing that surrounds the entirety of the Avengers throughout all their movies, right? And like we don't have stuff like that anymore because these writers get a hold of something and they just want to like they want to write their story that they envision, and that you know, it's the writers. That's what they should be doing. But they're like, oh yeah, we have this thing called the intelligentsia. We should wrap this idea around the intelligentsia and make it just small enough to fit into our TV show, and it doesn't matter. And so the intelligentsia just kind of sucked. It was a joke when it could be something cool, right?
It was a big joke. Like, yeah, you know, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, you know, they were trying to make a social comment on all this like weird energy that goes on in line with like these kind of like quote unquote incel stuff, or whatever the fuck these people call themselves. I don't even know. Where it's like they just have these weird reactions to these shows that feel like they're not being honest, or they're, you know, not having honest arguments about what they hate about the show. And like that's an important point to make in our entertainment, that this is like a weird part of the culture that's popping up. But I think like a show like The Boys makes social commentary on this type of stuff like so much better, where they touch on it so much harder and make it feel like it's real. Where this show just makes it like a big fucking joke, and like it's not even like it's not even a funny joke. It's just like a what the fuck's going on?
It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like it like with the intelligentsia, you know who the two main leaders of that group are MODOK and the leader. Right. So they couldn't even fit those two into the situation. Yes, they had a reference to MODOK in terms of Kevin, and yeah, like they had a reference to the leader in terms of intelligentsia, but like they didn't do anything with it. They gave it to a bunch of dudes who were basically, from what it sounds like, they were acting like incels. They were just being angry at women for the sake of them being women. And like that's a horrible situation. Like, why would you even make that a thing? Like, why do we need that in this show? Like, there was nothing that ever said that people were against women. Like, it was literally supposed to be a single female lawyer. And I go back to the fact that like there was a rumor that the writers did not know how to make courtroom scenes. And it's like, why do you hire these people if they don't know how to make courtroom scenes in a show about being an attorney?
Right. And
I heard they actually brought in Marvel's like actual legal team to like do some of the writing for the legal stuff. Like, what would you do with this? Hey guys, what would you do with this situation, sort of thing? Like,
yeah.
What would you do if Wong comes in and is like, he's using magic, misuse of magic?
Yeah, seriously, dude, that shit's real.
I'm just happy it's over so that we never get to see the fucking mustard suit from Daredevil again. It is god awful.
It was a little too dark
like,
on the yellow.
Multiple like suits. I presume we're like, the rumor is that we're getting like a full black one for Echo, and then hopefully he'll be back to like red for his own series.
Now, is it black with red pinstripe lines, or like things that kind of show like there's a little bit of red accent in there?
Apparently, it's all black, and the only red on this suit is the DD on the
Ds.
chest. Yeah,
Gotcha.
The double D on the chest. So boom.
I love those double Ds.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I hope they do a whole new reshaping of his outfit, because I think it was like good for the Netflix show, but I really think like the MCU with their budget and stuff could like get a much better Daredevil looking suit that looks sleeker. Like his stuff just looks so stiff. He looks like Batfleck's armor, you know what I mean, where it's got this like weird texture on it and stuff. And like,
very
I just want
bad ears.
Yeah, I just want a slick looking Daredevil suit. I want him in the leather. I want him looking sleek as fuck. As sleek as like Spider-Man looks when he's moving around. Like I want that look for Daredevil, because we can see as we saw in this show, like when he's flipping off buildings, like it looks awesome.
It was beautiful, man.
Yeah,
beautiful.
So I would like a suit that kind of matches that movement, you know, and not just this kind of weird bulkiness kind of thing going on. I don't know. I just wish it could be better.
In the comics, he uses his baton to like swing around New York like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And there's like scenes in the comics where the two of them are like web swinging beside each other. So like I feel like this version of Daredevil can actually do that. So I think that's what we're getting. And I think there was like some rumors of Spider-Man 4 during the week where they were talking about like the movie is going to actually come out in 2024. They just haven't announced it yet, and it's going to be like Spider-Man but like a street level movie, and it's going to be heavily involving Daredevil as well.
Dude, I'm
Sounds
down for
great.
that.
Yeah, it would be incredible. Incredible.
Like Spider-Man and Daredevil in the comic books are so close to each other that it's kind of crazy that we haven't gotten on screen together.
Yeah.
They're one of the first people that they revealed those secret identities to is like to each other. That's how close they become. And I hope we get that in the MCU. Spider-Man's always looking for a father figure. So Daredevil's like perfect, you know, he's right up there to be that.
It's a perfect code because like, you know, Daredevil doesn't want to kill people, neither does Spider-Man, so it fits perfectly. Yeah, especially if they were able to talk to Punisher, and Punisher's like, yeah, just fucking take him out.
Street level Spidey's my favorite Spidey. I gotta agree in the chat there. 100%. I think with how they've kind of retconned the whole Homecoming stuff, and it's very clever the way they've done it. Now we're gonna actually, the next movie will kind of be like Spider-Man 1, really, in a way. Like, you know, it's gonna be back to street level. No one knows who he is, so it's gonna be him just kind of reintroducing himself to a lot of people, probably. I'd say they'll have one or two people who still remember who he is. Like, I think Strange will still know who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he didn't.
I want them to get back to a Spider-Man who kind of feels carefree. Every time I think about Tom Holland's Spider-Man, he's always worrisome, right? And like when he's Peter Parker, there's some worrisomeness that goes on. But like when he puts on that suit, like I want the Spider-Man who's like walking down the street, like tossing an apple up and down, eating it while he's like fighting someone on the street and like wrapping people up, like where he just like kind of doesn't care, you know. He's very loose, and I feel like we're missing that. And that's like how Andrew Garfield's was. Like that is also how they protect or portray Miles Morales in the Spider-Verse movies.
Yeah,
and I would like that a lot in the MCU.
Yeah, because we're missing the jokes, like we're missing the nonchalant feelings of like Spider-Man, knowing that he literally has to pull his punches every time he hits like a regular street thug because he would just fucking blow their head off.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I actually really liked Tom in the first movie. I thought he was very funny, and I liked him in Civil War as well. I thought he was kind of doing the whole Spidey thing perfectly, but it just started going down a weird road as the movies went on. But now I think they've very cleverly retconned it, and we're gonna get to go back to where we were at.
Yeah,
which is great. And just the fact to see him struggle as well, like trying to pay for rent and stuff. He's probably going to start working at the Bugle and all. It's going to be amazing, bro. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Oh,
and you know, they're bringing up in the chat who's going to remember him. I don't think Strange will remember him. I think Wong will be the only one that's able to remember him because he is the Sorcerer Supreme and he's not affected by these types of spells.
Yeah, because he already knows how to keep his mind from being like afflicted. And I'm pretty sure that's like Sorcerer 101 kind of situation. You know, you never want to be invaded in the mind.
Well, it's actually a thing that comes with title of being Sorcerer Supreme, that like time spells and like memory spells don't affect you. So if he's the one that officially has the title, he gets that, so he'll be able to really remember who Spider-Man is.
Well, it's like, you know, when Strange pulled the spell during the full moon party, he talks about it in No Way Home, and he's like, "Do you remember that, Wong?" And he's like, "No." And he's like, "Yeah, exactly." You know, so it's like, I really think that's probably going to happen. Yeah, for sure.
Real quick before we move on, I don't remember if it was episode 8 or 7. With it was 8, wasn't it? With Leapfrog.
Yeah.
I wasn't here to talk to you guys about that. What'd you guys think? I love that. Like, I love that whole situation with Daredevil and like going and infiltrating the area, and the fact that like at first it seemed like he was supposed to be a good guy, but he's just an idiot. But then he becomes then you realize he was actually a bad guy and he had his own henchmen. I thought that was a perfect comic volume. Like, you go in there, you do a quick fight, you defeat him. It's like our heroes once again defeated kind of one of those moments.
How dare they disrespect my boy Frogman like that? He's like hero, bro, through and through. He's not some guy who has henchmen. He literally like is part of saving the world sometimes. Like he's like a joke of a character a little bit, but he takes himself very seriously, okay? He's been to outer space very recently with Iron Man to stop the cosmic entities from destroying the universe. Okay, this is a bona fide hero. This is not someone you just toy around with. Okay.
Well, okay. So if we're talking Frogman, which I think is a different character, this is Leapfrog.
Frogman.
Get out
I
of
think.
here, bro. It's fucking Frogman.
See, I think
It's-
his dad.
He said his name was Leapfrog.
In the comics, I believe his dad is Frogman, and then he becomes Leapfrog, trying to like imitate his dad, and his dad is the evil one, but in the comics he's the good one. So I think that they just changed it for the show to make him the evil one. But they called him Leapfrog, if that makes sense. Yeah.
We know it is. We know who this is.
I know. Yeah, true. Like, I don't know, Alex, if you listened to the last week's podcast, you might know what we think about the episode 8, but I gotta say, episode 8 was easily my favorite episode of the season. Like it wouldn't need to be, it's not even debatable. It's the best episode of She-Hulk, and it's all because of Matt Murdock. And we knew this going in. Like, that was like one of the only reasons why I was hyped for the show, because I wanted to see Daredevil, and I just couldn't believe what we got. It was just amazing to see how acrobatic he was, and he was able to do the funny thing good. The one good court scene we get all season is just Matt Murdock in court. It was the Matt Murdock show. Like, I don't care. Like, she says it's her show. It's not. It's Matt Murdock's show.
Just the fact that like that was actually an amazing courtroom scene, for the fact that like, because Charlie Cox is so seasoned as a lawyer in a show, like he just had all these rebuttals every time She-Hulk pulled up something. Matt Murdock was like, no, well, there's this all, as well. Like, you got this, and then you got that, and so it was this whole back and forth. And eventually, like, he won, which was like, I love that. I love that he won, and it wasn't just like She-Hulk winning over him.
Yeah, I just loved how the lawyer, or like the judge and everything, was just like, yes, we all know he's lying. Like, it's just so like, Mr. Murdock, you don't even need to explain yourself. We all know he's lying. Like, it was very funny. Yeah, look, it's a very mid-tier show for me. I will not be rushing to rewatch it. I might rewatch the last 2 episodes. And I think like Book of Boba Fett was just mentioned in the chat as well. It's like Book of Boba Fett for me, again, it's episodes 5 and 6. Fuck the rest of the series. Quick shout out to Kai Patterson though, because this dude is like making his own edits of all the Star Wars content. His Kenobi movie was incredible. He has a 2-part Boba Fett movie, which I haven't watched it yet though. But it's like, a friend of mine watched the first 45 minutes. He's like, it's so much better already. Like, so I'm looking forward to watching his cut of Boba, and I think it's going to be way better too.
Well, I think it shows a way forward for Disney Plus in the Werewolf by Night, because we talked about this last week.
Yeah.
And Werewolf by Night really showed that, like, hey, if you don't have a story, don't stretch it out. Like, hit it for an hour. If Book of Boba Fett was an hour, it'd been fucking incredible. If they would just done a solid hour one shot where you get to see this part of Boba Fett's life, I think all of us would have loved it. But they take these stories. They don't have great writers who are filling out these stories in a way that matters. Like, if you got enough story to tell, do a show. Like, if you can think of a good enough story that warrants you making 10 episodes, I'd love to see it. But if you can't, stop trying to stretch and fill and add all the shit we don't care about. Like, hit us for like an hour on a really important story, and like make the script like very, economical or whatever, so that we're in and out and we get this great experience, because all these Disney Plus shows have been overstayed their welcome. Every one of them.
Yeah. And I agree. Like, Werewolf by Night was like fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I didn't have any issues with it. I thought Man-Thing looked fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And just, I love that his name is Ted, and that, that's how you address him by. I really liked the Werewolf by Night costume, like the design. I thought that was really cool, because it was more like it's kind of like, like literally half man, half beast. It wasn't just full on transformation. It was really nice that they did that, because, they want the character to look, like menacing, but also be like relatable as a human. It's like, oh, it's a human on the inside. And the hunters, they were all terrible, but like they were terrible for a good reason, because that, like, if they were badasses, this thing would have been dragged on a little too long, and it would have been it would have been terrible if it had gone any longer than what it did.
Totally.
And I love like the silhouettes, the black and white, the fight scenes all felt comfortable. I liked the scariness of it. I liked the joke that they did for that like coffin dummy. I thought that was pretty funny. It all just fit.
But if they would have made Werewolf by Night like 10 episodes, you'd been bored out of your mind. You would have
bored. Super bored.
Because they wouldn't have had any different story. They would have just stretched it out so much. One episode on each of the people that were in that room. Like, and it's like, I don't give a fuck about any of these people. So yeah, it was perfect. Rumor on the street is they're thinking about reworking a couple of the future shows into presentations, which is definitely the right idea. Like,
Yeah.
imagine Kenobi was just Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, and that's what it was written like. It was written to be a movie, and they stretched it out into 7 episodes or 6 episodes or whatever it was. And the same with Boba Fett. Boba Fett being like a 2.5-hour movie would have been incredible. It's crazy.
And it'll reach the comic style because you have one of those like one-shot comics where something happens, they take care of it, and there you go. You learn about the hero, and then that's it. And then maybe later on they'll make a series if the crowd loves it.
Yeah,
it's kind of like give it a chance and then move forward later.
I definitely could see a part or a path forward for them where they give a character an hour, and they do like 4 of them a year. There's 4 MCU special presentations a year. Yeah. I'm down for all of them. I could even see it where they do a Moon Knight one, right? Like, say if they would make Moon Knight special presentation, and then we wait like another 4 months and we get another Moon Knight. So like Moon Knight Part 2 comes out. Even stuff like that would work. I just think that the idea that they have to fill out these shows in order for people to keep resubscribing is erroneous. I don't think that's really how the market works. I am somebody who, like everyone else, forgets about their subscriptions and doesn't care. They just, if they can't figure out these shows and have stories that matter, this is what they need to do, because I am sitting here in this like ocean of mediocrity with all these shows we're watching. And then like we have Game of Thrones, right? Like House of Dragon is so fucking compelling every week. And without anything, like the biggest moments in that show have nothing to do with armies, have nothing to do with dragons, have nothing to do with these big CGI effects. There are these like personal human moments in the show that you're on the edge of your seat for. And Disney does not know how to do that with anything. They don't know how to do it with Star Wars. They don't know how to do it with Marvel. There is nothing in their catalogs that I'm sitting there like engrossed in it, and I can't look away. Like I need to be in it. And I don't know how they get there. I'm not like a Hollywood writer. I don't know what the fuck they're doing wrong. I just know that they're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Like there's an argument for like some of the shows just to be cut way down. Like even like Miss Marvel would have been a lot more interesting if it was just like an hour and a half presentation.
Right.
And we got all the juiciest bits of those 6 episodes or whatever it was into this one long kind of hour and a half, like a TV movie or whatever you want to kind of pitch it as. But then I think there's like some shows like Moon Knight, for example. You mentioned Moon Knight. Moon Knight probably would have done better if it was more based like the Netflix Daredevil show, like where if it was like longer episodes and darker, and you got to see him actually like just beat the fuck out of people and all. I think it would have been a lot better. It would have been a lot more enjoyable. So it's kind of funny because like some of the shows I feel like they need more, and then some of the shows they need way less, and the Star Wars stuff is the exact same. Like this Andor show, which we'll dip into later, but I've enjoyed 2 episodes out of Andor, 2 out of 6, like 1/3 of it I've enjoyed. The rest of it's been fucking ass. So it's like, would that have been better as a TV movie? Yeah, probably.
Right.
Right. And I want to tack on with Hoffman's talking about the presentations. As soon as you were talking about Moon Knight doing a presentation, I would love for it to be like as like the name of the person, and then the title, like the subtitle. So it'd be like Moon Knight Midnight Mission, and then exactly what you're getting into. So you're getting into like his midnight mission, like escapades of working in the night in a city, taking care of vampires that are like harassing people at night and becoming the protector.
Yeah, I'm down with that. And I think they, that would totally work. These little shorts that maybe they don't even like tie together, but they just enhance the character of Moon Knight, and you see him on these little different areas. And they can make them preludes to like the movies, like Pinto brought up Miss Marvel. We got the Marvels coming up in a couple of years or whatever. And if Miss Marvel was like an hour-long introduction to our character Miss Marvel, and then it led right into the Marvels movie, that's probably fucking awesome.
Yeah.
If She-Hulk would have been an hour-long show where they introduce She-Hulk, and then that runs right into whatever Hulk movie they're going to do, or whatever Avengers movie, like that would be a much better system than what they're doing now, where you're just kind of like bored and uninterested, and it's kind of weakening and diluting the brand of the MCU, where it's like, I don't care about the MCU right now. Like, I'm just like, anything comes out, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that. Like, had they done maybe the first 2 episodes of She-Hulk, or maybe even just the first episode, and elongate it just a little bit longer, and just do like this whole like comic sense of like, and so she kind of went on with her life, and she's now learning to cope with herself as like She-Hulk. And then meanwhile, you see like the ship going by for Bruce, and he's on his way to Sakaar.
Mhm.
And then you kind of get that moment of like cliffhanger, and you're like, oh, I can't wait for the next thing that's coming around. And then you get established with She-Hulk. You don't feel this whole sense of like, oh my god, the next few episodes were a shit show. You're set at a high, and you're happy, and it's over, and you're done.
Mhm.
Like, and you can move on, and maybe she'll come back later.
I
Yeah.
pose a question to the two of you. So, it's pretty well known that Phase 2 of the MCU was very rocky. There was some bad movies in there. For the grand scheme of things, some bad movies in there. If you take out all the Disney Plus shows and just talk about the movies, what does Phase 4 shape up like compared to the rest? Because if you think about it, there's been some very good movies. No Way Home is probably my second favorite MCU movie ever. Multiverse of Madness was great. Not everybody loved it. I did. I thought it was fantastic. I enjoyed The Eternals. I thought Shang-Chi was great. It was great. It gets better with every rewatch.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of good movies out there in Phase 4. It's
Mhm.
just the TV. It's the Disney Plus shit that's bringing Phase 4 down. Everyone's talking shit about Phase 4 because of the Disney Plus stuff. And I think when we kind of look back on things as we go further on in time, I think we probably won't talk about the Disney Plus stuff. We'll just talk about the movies.
Mhm.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being a thing. There has been really good things that have come out. I think it started off on a really bad note, and I think that's what has set the tone for Phase 4. They started it with Black Widow, and that movie was just like pretty awful, bro. Like it was just pretty fucking awful.
Yeah.
There are moments in it that are great, especially the stuff with the family that I still like. But you're right. After that, like Shang-Chi was a movie like you. Every time I go back and rewatch it, I like it more.
Yeah.
Eternals, very hit or miss, right, in moments, but overall, I thought it was a great movie. Visuals were stunning. I enjoyed the cast of the movie. Maybe it got a little lost in itself there for a minute, but it was great. Spider-Man was fantastic. Like 10 out of 10 MCU movie. Multiverse Madness, great. Thor's kind of a miss, right? Like kind of a miss. That's their Iron Man 2 moment in Phase 4. Where it's
can't win them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess we just have to see how Black Panther lands, because you're right. Like when it comes to the movies, Phase 4 has not been that out of step with every other phase in terms of like good and bad.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like Black Widow should have been released after Civil War. Like they should have actually released it in the timeline,
Mhm.
in real life and in the movie,
Mhm.
Yeah, Liam, get the fuck out of this chat now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, for anybody who's watching, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry, but Liam's just put up a comment saying that No Way Home wasn't great. I like get out, delete yourself from my life. Thank you. How the fuck dare you come into this podcast and say that to me?
Just want to give a shout out to Liam Scott. What a great shot to Finto.
Yeah, Liam, it was nice knowing you, bro. GG's.
I mean, like he makes a point about it's good to see Toby and Andrew, but just to say like, oh, they come back and that's what makes it great. Like, yeah, their characters coming back is what makes it great, because it's tying the entire multiverse together. Like there's other Spider-Men, and they're not just there for show. They actually have an impact on the story and what's going on. They make Tom Holland's character better when they're in it. Like he has this moment because of them where he realizes the sacrifices he has to make because of them, because he sees what they went through in their timelines in their life, and he realizes that. So like you could say like, oh, it was great just to see it because of them, but like it's an important moment in our Spider-Man's growth as a character. So like when people say that stuff, I'm like, come on, man, you got like I get it's showboat to say that type of stuff, but it affected it.
The movie gets an 8 out of 10 for Willem Dafoe alone, not talking about anybody else. Liam in here giving it a 5. I that just convinces me that he's just fucking he's memeing right now. He's trying to get a rise out of me, and it's working.
I just love the fact that they decided to recreate the origin story, and bring it full circle. Like that did not involve, the other two Spider-Men at all. It involved Peter dealing with that situation, coming to terms with the fact that like with great power comes great responsibility, and it just comes full fucking circle. And I love that.
But like everybody's biggest complaint about Tom Holland's Spider-Man was just that everyone called him a little Iron Man Jr., little Tony Stark. And it's like, let's retcon it. No one remembers who he is. The Stark tech won't work for him anymore. It's brilliant.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Also,
how dare you?
Also, I know that Chillin was saying that Willem Dafoe is ridiculous. One of my favorite things about that movie was the fact that they had 2 sets of teeth for Willem Dafoe. One where he's like kind of nice, and so the teeth are straight. And then when he goes back into the goblin mode, his teeth are all kind of messed up and like like gangly and just like
That's
crazy
cool.
looking.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love the bit where Tom Holland's like standing on top of him and he's like punched him in the face and he's just like looking back at him laughing and smiling. It's so sadistic. Like I was
So
I was
good.
I was blown away by it. I was blown away by Alfred Molina's performance. I thought he was brilliant. It was Jamie Foxx was great in the movie. Like he was so terrible in Spider-Man 2. Like the Amazing Spider-Man 2. He was so
Mhm.
bad. It was terrible. And in this movie, he's good. He's funny. He's like, they show off his powers so much better. I don't know. Like it was just I can't fault it at all. Like honestly, like I really struggle to find bad things with this movie. Like I really
It's
do.
this
And
It's the script and screenwriters for Sony. I think they're doing a terrible job of how like explaining what actually should occur in a Spider-Man movie. You know, when you see it, you know, like the original Spider-Man movies, like with Tobey Maguire, like 2 was my favorite. You know, 3 was like lackluster. 1 was good, great introduction, and then you see the Amazing Spider-Man 1, and that was great. But then when 2 came around, I don't know what the hell they did to kind of like shit all over it. But like they had no reason to change the persona and the design of Electro himself. Like it should have been just a straight up man with that design, like just kind of like that same design that you see in No Way Home, because that would have been cooler. Like just have him harness the power of electricity, not necessarily be a blue monster that can like turn into the like electricity. You can still do that in No Way Home, and I think they kind of did that a little bit, but like it was more apparent that he was a solid character, and that's what made it work.
Yeah, like the Sony writers, I mean, I think you're right about that. They don't know what to do when it comes to these characters because like they want to make their own thing, and I can kind of respect that. But like, just go make your own thing, man. I know that's easier said than done, especially in Hollywood, where like they're not looking for new writers to create their own, works of art anymore, like they used to back in the 80s and 90s. But when you're writing for these characters in these comic books that have been established, like you gotta look at the source material and see what makes it work. Electro doesn't, he looks ridiculous in the comic books, but he doesn't look like an asshole. Like
yeah. I like look, and there's the evidence is out there. Like Sony were able to make Into the Spider-Verse, which is one of the best comic book movies of all time, and it was because it's animated. The high ups in Sony were like, yeah, go on, here's your creative control, go do whatever you want to do, we don't care. But then when it's a live action movie, they're just dipping their hands in and trying to change stuff and do what they got to do, and it's evident that that does not work. So like they should be taking a look at Into the Spider-Verse, seeing how much of an absolute global phenomenon that film is, and just saying, okay guys, just go with it, do what you got to do. Show us the finished product. Like, but that's not how Hollywood works, and it's ridiculous.
No? I agree. Anything good that's gotten done in Hollywood is because it's just small enough for people to not give a fuck. Like, that's always the case.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Guys, let's talk about House of the Dragon.
Yes.
I want to hear what you think about it.
Do this.
The best show on TV right now, and I think it's surpassed Game of Thrones for me. The acting in this last episode, the stakes that were going on, the tone of it, everything. We don't deserve King Viserys. We don't deserve that actor, and we don't deserve his character in the show. One of my favorite Game of Thrones moments, him walking to that chair, almost dead, just falling apart, not able to barely stand up, but he's still king. Walks to that chair, brushes off everybody, and then his dumb brother comes up and it's like, come on, dude, I'm your brother. Like, let me fucking help you. Like, just so many moments, man.
Did you know that he wasn't meant to drop the crown on the ground? That was actually improvised, and they just kept the cameras going. It fell off his head while he was trying to crawl up the stairs, and then
that's amazing.
They just kept it in there because it was just so good. So I don't even know if Matt Smith was meant to help him up at all. I don't even think that was scripted. I think the crown dropped and he ran over, picked it up, and helped him up. And they were like, "This is amazing. Keep the cameras going. Keep it rolling."
Yeah, and that happens when like you create really good characters and you have actors who are good enough to live up to those characters, right? And like stay in the scene and like build those moments that can happen like that. Like it's I adore this show, dude.
It's incredible, start to finish.
And one of the best things I like about King Viserys and this actor Paddy Considine is the fact that like I've never seen him in anything else. I'm pretty sure I haven't. The only thing I ever remember him doing anything other than this guy was when he was the district, like he was a special officer Andy Wainwright in fucking Hot Fuzz. He was the dude with the fucking the dark shades who was always like messing with Nicholas Angel.
Yeah.
And like going from that, just like that side role of him being a dickhead to like him straight up being king.
Yeah.
Huge change. This dude has range.
I know he's a great actor. I'm trying to look to see if I know him from anything. I'm just looking at the castings here. He's in Peaky Blinders.
He is nice.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna watch that.
I think like almost all this cast has barely been in anything, and I think that's why so much of it works is because you can get lost in their characters. Like the only one I really know is like Matt Smith, right? Like he's the only one that I really know out of anybody in this cast.
You don't remember Rhys Ifans though?
No, I never saw Hot Fuzz. Don't hate me.
No. He wasn't in. He was in the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah. He plays the lizard. He's the lizard.
The lizard.
Yeah,
but he doesn't really look like that. You know what I mean? Like he's got the beard going on or whatever.
Yeah. No, to be fair, yeah, he's very different. But he's a big actor. Like, you know, he's been in loads of stuff. Lots of UK stuff and stuff that probably hasn't reached over to you guys. But like, I know him very well.
Okay.
But it's like that doesn't really break it for me either. Like, but on that point, like, what do you think of like the rumors of like Henry Cavill and Elizabeth Olsen coming in for season 2? Do you think that's like they're too big? Like, do you think it kind of breaks it a little bit? Because like what the point that you're making about the actors not really being known is like really important, I think, for shows like this, because you can't be looking at this and going, it kind of breaks the like your immersion into that world when it's just like, you know, oh, there's Henry Cavill, there's Superman in this scene. Like, you know, it's a bit weird.
I think it depends, right? Like I think it depends on how well the actor can fold themselves into characters. Where a lot of actors just kind of seem like themselves when they're on screen. You know, we had Ned Stark, right? Like we all know who Ned Stark is. We've seen him everywhere. But still, you lose yourself and you believe it's Ned Stark. Henry Cavill will probably be the hardest one for me to get out there. But when he's playing Geralt, I think I'm watching Geralt. You know, he sold that for me too.
True. I gotta say, because I had never played the games before I watched the first season of The Witcher, and I was like, why is he putting out that accent? And then when I've played like The Witcher, I was like, oh, okay, now that makes sense. So I'm like, okay, very good.
Well, yeah. Elizabeth Olsen, I think, you know, I've barely seen her in that much outside of her being Scarlet Witch. But I think she'll be able to do it just because she only is known for Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Well, I think in terms of these big name actors, it should play the same way that they do with Game of Thrones, where you have these big name characters or actors, and then they die, and that works well because you get a taste of them, you know who they are, you know what they represent, and then they die, and then it's like that sets them in stone as like, were they fantastic, were they terrible, and it just kind of lets it sit. You know, like when you saw Drogo. And you saw that it was Jason Momoa, and like he had done previous roles, but when he started doing that role, like he was fantastic. And when he died, it left it so that he was fantastic for the rest of the show. People still mentioned him.
Yeah,
and you know, same with
like Jason Momoa. If you would have done Aquaman and stuff before that, you would not have seen him as Drogo, like, or Khal Drogo. He would have been Jason Momoa in that show because like he has like one character, you know what I mean? That's him, and it's great. It's charismatic, but so like he wouldn't have been Khal Drogo. So there's certain actors who can pull it off, I guess.
Yeah. Pedro Pascal as Oberyn, like that was fantastic.
Yeah,
great actor for that situation. Died at a certain point, and then like now he's a Mandalorian. He's gonna be the dude for he's gonna be Joel.
Had he done Narcos at that point? Yeah, no. So again, I think this is him. I didn't see him in anything before that as well. It was kind of like this was his breakout role, you know.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying. Like I think
like
Pedro's really very good. Like he kind of slips into different roles, and you kind of see him as a different person each time. Whereas some people, it's Jason Momoa every single time. It's The Rock. The Rock's been the same guy for fucking 10 years. Like he's looked the exact same. You know, that's a lot of people's problems with Black Adam. It's like he doesn't even fucking put a wig on. Do you know what I mean? It's like he's not changing his voice at all. He is The Rock in cosplay, like basically.
Right. And it, like, you know, not to get too far into Black Adam, but they really should have done like a hair cap where it would have had like the kind of like that widow's peak look as
the spike,
Black Adam.
Like his V, like the backwards V for his hairline and all. Like 100%. Like it's for I'm actually looking forward to seeing the movie because I think it's going to be quite good. But honestly, for a guy who says it's been a passion project of his for 15 years, and he's like, he claims to be like the biggest Black Adam fan ever. It's like, bro, would you fucking put the effort in? Like,
Can
change
you put your
the
toupee on?
change the accent, throw a wig on, change your face a bit. Like, do what you got to do. Like, don't just look like the exact same as you look for your last 5 roles, but just wearing a Black Adam costume this time instead of wearing jungle gear for fucking Jumanji. Like, you know what I mean? It's the exact same thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, because like you reference him in like the Scorpion King. Like he did great in the Scorpion King, and then
did he?
Like, well, yeah, he did.
No,
he did a great role in the Scorpion King
terrible.
1. It was well done. Anything past that, like it's free game. But in like we won't get too far into that. But still, like it's one of those moments of like you really need to change the way you look in order for people to see the character and not just the actor. Just like with God darn it, the Irishman, Farrell, Colin Farrell. Yeah, Penguin. Like such a good change to make him look like the Penguin. You don't even really see him as Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Because the moment he takes off his gear and everything, like he's Colin Farrell, like he looks like Colin Farrell. If you didn't do the makeup or anything and you just had him in the suit and said he was the Penguin, I'd be like, no, that's fucking Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
And it just it's different. So like when I say for Henry Cavill and Elizabeth Olsen, like they need to change the way they look if they're going to come in here, and they kind of have to have this different outset of like what they represent in the show, and then they need to die because they're big names.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Hey, you're too big for the show. You're fucking dead.
Yeah,
gotta give a shout out though. I gotta give a shout out to my new favorite character in House of the Dragon. Edmund is the best, bro.
Which one's Edmund?
Eye Patch, the Eye Patch kid.
Oh yeah,
he is incredible, bro. He's taken over. He's my new favorite. It was Damon, but no, it's Edmund now. Edmund is the Damon. Man. He is. He's like mini Damon. But like, I love how Sir Kristen Cole is like the only person to have beaten Damon in like combat, and now he's trained up Edmund this entire time throughout his entire life, and now Edmund is beating Sir Kristen Cole. So it's like, shit, is he gonna kill Damon? Like, oh my god, like what's gonna happen? Like, I'm fucking freaking out. I cannot wait. And I loved with the scene where he's calling the bastards the strong boys and stuff. I'm just like, this is amazing, bro. Like, it was so intense. It was edge of your seat stuff the whole episode. It was incredible. Oh man, like I can't get out. Like if next week's, I haven't even looked it up, but I think there's the reviewer rating should be up for tonight's episode. Anybody who's watching this on a replay, we record this on a Sunday evening, so it's like the worst night of the week to be talking about House of the Dragon. We're talking about the last one. The new one's out in a couple of hours. So yeah, if you're listening to this like what on a Tuesday or something, like why are they talking about last week's episode? That's why. Sorry, we record them late, so that's our.
Can we mention how fucking sweet it was to see Damon chop the head off that fucking dude's head?
Oh my god, he can keep his tongue.
Yeah,
I'll have your tongue for this, he says, and it's like, you can keep his tongue. Okay, guys, I gotta say, The Green Council is the name of tonight's episode 9. It's rating a 9.9 right now on IMDb with 1,300 reviews.
It's just so this show never stops, dude.
9.4 for last week's, 9.3 for Driftmark, the 7th episode. It's been fucking stellar for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm so happy they decided to make the show. Because we talked about it a little bit, but like I'm a huge Song of Ice and Fire fan. I've read the book, like I've gone through the series twice. The book, the Fire and Blood, that this is like this weird historical book they based this on. Like I've read that. Like I'm a huge nerd for it. So like Game of Thrones was such a heartbreaking show for me. And I'm really glad. I had no hopes for the show, but they brought it back. Like they understand the characters. They understand what's great about the Song of Ice and Fire universe. And I can't wait to see where the show goes. And just like I'm pumped for everything else coming out in this from these people. Like I'm like so excited.
So quick question. Hoffman, I wanted to ask you. So I know that Aegon is like referenced in Game of Thrones, and that we know like who Aegon is
like
now.
12 Aegons now. So which one are you talking about here? That was, be a little more specific, sir.
That'd be Aegon. Little like Jon Snow is technically Aegon the 6th. So but in terms of the last words that King Viserys had said, besides besides his death words. When he was talking to Alicent as he was fading away, is that reference just supposed to tie in for Game of Thrones, or is it actually something that was in the book? for Fire and Blood?
I forget if that's like in Fire and Blood. I don't think it is. But that is supposed to set up Alicent like thinking that she has to do this because her son Aegon is the actual Targaryen heir, right?
Right.
And not Rhaenyra. So it just adds into like this plot point where it's like she's like, I'm gonna fucking kill everybody.
Her understanding of it is that they're talking about the firstborn son, but I think the way you're supposed to perceive it is he's actually talking about Jon Snow. He's talking about the prophecy, right?
Yeah.
And he thinks he's talking to Rhaenyra as well, right? He's like delirious and stuff, and he doesn't think that he's talking to his wife. He thinks he's talking to his daughter. Whereas earlier on in the episode, when the daughter comes in, he calls her Alicent, and he thinks he's talking to his wife. So it's like it's kind of switched around. It's flipped around. So I loved it. Loved every moment of that episode.
And it is a nice setup because as he passes away, Alicent knows that she has a mission now. But it kind of makes me confused a little bit as far as like Ice and Fire when he's talking about the Song of Ice and Fire and how that ties in with Aegon taking over the throne. Like where's the ice part? Is it because Rhaenyra's reign would cause a cold feeling upon the throne itself, and therefore you need someone born of fire to take the throne itself? Is that kind of the metaphor of it?
Yeah, like George Martin, like his writing and throughout this is like a lot of the plot points and the devices are because people misinterpret prophecies. He's big on like prophecies not like being interpreted, right? So the Targaryens right now think that there is a cold winter coming and they're the ones who have to stop it. That's the Song of Ice and Fire, them versus their fire versus the ice, and not like the the Starks and the Targaryens birthing Azor Ahai, the prince who was promised. So they have no idea what the prophecy is actually supposed to be about. They just know that there's a prophecy that says these words, and they think it is that they have to stop the Night King that they don't know about yet.
Mm-hmm. And that like that's gonna fit so well, especially with that's the last thing that Alicent heard. It's like, oh shit, Aegon's gonna go crazy.
Oh yeah, like it's like I don't know, like I don't want to spoil it for anybody who doesn't want to know, but like you can go and read the titles for the last 2 episodes. It's kind of obvious what's coming, And if you've read the stuff, I know Hoffman, you've read it all, so you know exactly what's coming. But it's very well known that shit is about to go down.
Yeah,
big time.
And I hope it goes down in a way where it looks fantastic, because I did look at the lore of it. I didn't read the books, but I took a look into what actually happens. And if it follows the same way, I can't wait to see how this whole thing unfolds.
Dude, they can't miss. They can't miss with this show. It's perfect. My parents I was down with my parents for dinner tonight, and they said, oh, we started watching House of the Dragon. They watched episode 1, and my dad's like, yeah, I thought it was going to be better. And I'm like, just wait. Seriously. It gets so good. I was like, where I am right now, it's better than Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
I like the amount of houses that were in Game of Thrones. I can't wait for them to kind of expand this and stop doing like time jumps so they can bring more houses and more political intrigue into it. Yeah. But just in terms, that first couple of seasons of Game of Thrones, like I love it and I love it, but I don't really think they found themselves. Right. So it took them like a little bit to get going. Like season 3 of Game of Thrones is really where everything started clicking, I think. And like this thing right away, it's like they know what to do. They know this universe. They know, they got all the props already. They know how to make this thing look on TV and shoot it. So it's like hit the ground running.
Right. Well, I don't know if I talked to you about this or if you let me know, but I think George R.R. Martin's influence was in Game of Thrones from seasons 1 through 4. Correct?
I think a little bit deeper. It's still like season 6. Yeah.
6, yeah.
Like as far as I heard that it was kind of waning by the end of 6.
Yeah, because the rest of the story wasn't written, right? And so like the writers were just like, hey, I guess we're just gonna go do it because you didn't, write the book in the 6 years that we were doing this show. Like it's just And that dude is so frustrated because he's like, oh man, my Sundays are so fun just watching this. And, and everyone's just like, stop watching TV, bro. Yeah. Finish the fucking book.
He's like, I'll get back to it next week. If next week's episode's bad, I'll start writing again. It's just like fire after fire for years.
So maybe this helps him finish the book. Maybe like this inspires him, and seeing like the fan reaction and seeing his characters like being done justice again on screen, kind of remotivates him, hopefully.
Do you think with the Jon Snow show coming as well, like, do you think that they try and maybe bring the prophecy back a bit or something, or they try and fix what they've done?
Bro, that show's gonna be fucking ass. Like, I'm sorry. Like, what the fuck are they gonna do, dude?
I know. I know. I wonder does something happen though where they can kind of bring back in the prophecy a little bit and maybe try and
But
retcon something like, or because like it was just we don't even
they're
need to talk about it. It was such a shit show.
they're gonna ruin it to the point where Jon Snow becomes the next Night King. Like they're gonna have the Children of the Forest make a new Night King, and it's gonna be Jon Snow.
Yep.
Jesus.
I don't know what that show's gonna be.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I think just scrap that show and do more House of Dragon. Double the efforts for House of Dragon, please.
There's so much good stuff in the Song of Ice and Fire universe. Like it's a deep world. I really hope they do Dunk and Egg is what I hope they do, which is one of like the Knights Guard taking around one of the future kings as his squire, and they like travel the sides of Westeros. It's just like a Knight and a Squire series. Like I hope they do that because it's fucking awesome.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, that sounds fun.
If when they decide to finish House of the Dragon and they're done with that series, do you think they'll ever go even further back? Like a part of me kind of wants to see the beginnings of the Night King, like the first moment that they had that quarrel between man and the Children of the Forest, and then the birth of the Night King, and then having that whole situation, and then building the wall, to like keep them from coming through.
If Game of Thrones ended well, I would be very, very interested in seeing that. But now I'm like, fuck the Night King, fuck all this stuff, bro. I don't want to hear anything about any of it. I'm sorry. I'm like, no, thank you.
There's some really cool stuff. The only like really cool thing they could do by going back is if they show when the Targaryens first show up in Westeros, and show those war where they you have like the Starks, who were like one of the last people to bend the knee. You have the wars with Dorne, which like Dorne had never bent the knee, and so like there could be some cool stuff there, but that's about as only thing interesting going backwards that far.
What about the birth of the Stark family, like with Bran the Builder? I think that would be cool.
Yeah, around there would be cool too. I think what they'll probably end up doing is, and God help us, is doing the Robert Rebellion, which is nerve-wracking because a lot of things are cool when you don't see them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the legend of Robert's Rebellion is probably better than the actual story. But they'll probably end up doing that.
Well, and even then, man, like I remember like looking up what actually happened with the Mountain. Like he was supposed to be dead a long time ago. Like he was supposed to be dead from the beginning, right? Well, like in the books, like he was allegedly had his head chopped off and sent to Dorne for what he did to Elliot.
Was that the Mountain's head?
It could have been because in the books too, like you hear that there's someone skulking about like in the town,
yeah,
and has the same kind of look as the Mountain, so like they're not sure,
right? Exactly. And they just kind of confirm it in Game of Thrones. So it's like, hey, here's this fucking good thing from the book that you didn't know was going to happen. Here you go.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, if speaking about happenings though, like how about that Rings of Power?
All right, this is the one thing I didn't watch this week, so you guys have to walk me through it a little bit.
It won't take long, bro.
Okay.
How far did you get again?
I thought I watched this, bro, but apparently I didn't watch the season finale.
Bro,
I'm so bored by this show. I have no idea where I am in it. I watched the last thing I saw was like the Queen, the episode where the Queen is blind, and I don't think that's the season.
That was last week's episode. Yeah.
Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To be honest, bro, you didn't really miss much.
Yeah, she's the lucky one, man. She doesn't watch this shit anymore.
She doesn't have to watch it anymore. Yeah. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, we kind of get a couple of reveals. I don't know. Like, I don't mind skipping this and not talking about it. We can just move on to Andor if you want, and if you actually just want to watch it, because there's a couple of like reveals, and to be honest, for me, they were very obvious. Maybe they weren't obvious to some other people, but it was extremely obvious what was going on. But like, and I gotta give props to my girlfriend. Like, she called who Sauron was weeks ago. Weeks ago.
Sauron?
Yep.
I don't want to tell you. I think you should
Tell
watch
me.
it.
No, you should watch it. You're really not gonna watch the finale?
I'm watching like a month or something, bro.
Okay, so since it's a finale, just anybody that's listening, if you don't want to hear the spoilers, please, cut this out for a little bit and then come right back. Just
you should have gotten out here an hour ago. The hell, man?
I feel bad
because an hour into the cast.
I did see someone in the chat earlier say like I haven't watched House of the Dragon yet. We just went deep on it.
Oh, you see it in the title. I think that like it's not a finale, so it's not like a big spoiler for anything. So, but for this is a season finale. This is important. Also, by the way, anybody who's still listening, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. It would really help us grow. We'd really appreciate that. But yeah, so Hoffman, that guy that fell from the sky, they thought he was Sauron, but he ain't Sauron. He ain't Sauron, man.
That's not Sauron?
That ain't Sauron. He's good. He's a good man.
I knew he wasn't Sauron. I thought it was way too obvious. Yeah, look, you know, it's I don't know. The show ended like kind of where I had the itch to go back and rewatch Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And I watched yesterday. I can't believe I did it, but I watched the first half of Fellowship of the Ring on Friday, right? After I watched Rings of Power. I watched the first half of Fellowship, and then I went back and watched the second half of Fellowship on Saturday. I watched all of Two Towers, the extended version, 4 hours long, and then I watched all of Return of the King. So
damn,
I literally watched about 10 hours on Saturday, about 10 hours of Lord of the Rings content.
Did you nap afterwards?
Well, I just went to bed. It was nighttime, but I literally watched so much new content. I saw about 4 hours of additional footage in the original movies that I'd never seen before. So I was loving life. Like, I didn't know this. I never read the books before, but I didn't know that Aragorn's like 87 years old. I only found it out yesterday for the first time. I'm like, this makes him so much more, like, so much better as a character. Like, there's so much little shit that was left out. Like, Sean Bean was in all 3 movies in the extended versions. I'm like, what the hell? I was like, he didn't know he was in any, like, he wasn't in Two Towers at all. There's a pivotal scene in the extended cut of the Two Towers that he's in, and I'm like, this advances Faramir's character. This advances the king, the king's character, the King of Gondor. Like, I'm like, this is incredible. I'm like, I cannot believe I'm only seeing these now for the first time. It was amazing, and I got to watch them in 4K as well, and they were restored so beautifully. It was amazing. It was stunning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gone back and watched the Fellowship of the Ring. I'm planning on watching the 2 other extended versions too throughout the weeks. And I'm just blown away by how I sit and watch those for 4.5 hours, no problem. And then I go and I watch 15 minutes of Rings of Power and I'm asleep. I'm literally falling asleep and I can't keep my eyes open. I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know how they bored you so much with the show, but I can't stay awake during it, bro. But 4.5 hours of Fellowship of the Ring, I'm in.
Yeah. Okay. It was the show had like no real kind of payoff. I think it was just any of the big reveals were very obvious, and yeah, that was it. Like, season 1 ends and you're kind of like, oh shit, okay, it's over. And I was like, okay, I want to watch some good Lord of the Rings content now. So I threw on Fellowship. Because I wanted to figure out as well, because you know the way at the very start of Fellowship they give you the speech and who gets all the rings and stuff. I was like really confused because by the end of the show, the 3 elven rings are made. So we see the first Rings of Power getting made. And I'm like, okay, finally we're getting somewhere. Mm-hmm. And the person who ends up being Sauron, who I won't say, you see him walking into Mordor at the end of the show as well. So you're kind of like, okay, here we go. You know, it's like now it's finally starting to build up. But like, they should have done this around episode 5, because like now I know they're only shooting season 2 right now, but like, you know, that show's probably not going to come out for 2 years. You know, so it's like we watched all that series with very little payoff. And now we probably have to wait about 2 years for the next season to come out.
Well, and then with the next season coming around, it has to be the dwarf, like more of the dwarves story, right? Because the dwarves get 5 rings, correct?
Well,
is it 7? I think they get 7, and then the men get 9. Human men get 9.
Well, here's the thing: the Rings of Power are not the rings in Lord of the Rings.
Okay,
the Rings of Power are not the ones that the elves and the dwarves and the humans get.
Oh, okay.
Those are created by Sauron later down the road.
Oh, the Rings of the Power are the ones that go to the 9 humans who become his. No, okay.
No, they're just Rings of Power. Like, they're just rings, totally different rings, not connected to the original trilogy.
So
beautiful.
Okay, so then what is it?
I'm pretty positive.
What is this like? What is this, like a council then? Like, are they just forming a council?
Yeah, like they're just building Rings of Power to, you know, help out a little bit. I'm pretty fucking positive about this. You know, I have to go back and check now but I'm pretty positive the Rings of Power are just completely separate rings that have nothing to do with Sauron. Because Sauron has the rings crafted, and they shouldn't be being made yet. Because unless this happened in it, but like Sauron captures the elf, right? Did he capture the elf and then get him made?
So okay,
no, not yet.
Yeah,
Finto, I think we should at least like reveal it. Like, he said he's not gonna watch it.
He will. He will watch it.
Is it the fucking human dude who went with the Gladriel?
Yes.
Yeah, see, come on. Like if it's not the other
It
dude.
was so obvious, bro. It was so
Right.
obvious.
He-
Calling it
he-
for weeks.
Did they
he was
reveal
there
who
during
the wizard is in?
No, but I'm
I'm
90% sure it's Gandalf.
I'm
90%.
thinking Gandalf
Yeah.
too.
Because as well, when I
I'm gonna say
rewatched the
Saruman.
original, I think it's
Oh,
Gandalf
Saruman.
because he actually drops a line in the finale episode. And again, I didn't think it much of it, but I thought, there was a bit of a reaction to what he said. Like he mentions a line about when in doubt, like follow your nose never lies to you. And I'm like, that's important. I know that's important. And then when I was rewatching Fellowship, Gandalf says it to Frodo, when in doubt, always follow your nose. I was like, it's Gandalf. It has to
That
be.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Which-
It's Gandalf.
Which I'm okay with. Like I like Gandalf. I like Gandalf as the character. I think this kind of like if it is him, then this whole birthing situation is pretty cool for the fact that he's kind of like dumbfounded and he's still like trying to gauge as to what he can do.
I suppose
and
like,
then-
this kind of solidifies why he loves the hobbits so much, right? It's like they're the ones
Yeah.
that kind of welcome him back to the earth and kind of take care of him and kind of teach him to speak and all this stuff. Like, so it kind of makes sense then when you fast forward to Fellowship, and you know he's still going to visit the hobbits. Like, yeah,
True.
This and Hoffman, I think you said it a long time ago. This timeline's all fucked up.
Oh, it's horrible. It makes no sense.
No sense at all.
Like
I have no idea where we are. I have no idea what time it is. I feel like it's Back to the Future. It's like, what time is it, Doc? What year? Oh my goodness.
Hopefully next season's better.
I hope so too.
yeah. I don't know. Like,
I
do you think it was worth $1 billion?
it was not worth $1 billion to constantly talk about Numenor. Yeah. Numenor. I was fucking done. Dude, destroy Numenor now. Like, do it. Get rid of it. I'm tired of it. I know they are. I'm just tired of hearing it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's worth $1 billion. Amazon, says these numbers are outrageous for how many people are watching it. Did it get them more Prime subscribers? Probably not. Like, who doesn't have Prime and signing up for Lord of the Rings? I don't know who that audience is, but we'll see.
Yeah, like they were every week they've been saying that they've been like smashing the ratings and doing double the numbers that House of the Dragon is doing. I'm like, it's irrelevant. House of the Dragon is actually incredible TV. It doesn't matter how many people are watching it. I don't give a fuck how many people are watching it live. That doesn't matter to me whatsoever. It's like your content is shit and their content is incredible, 10 out of 10. Yeah. So, take all the live views you want, but the show's fucking mid as fuck.
But that's the problem though, is that, the people that are actually making these shows, they're the opposite of you, Finto. They don't care about all that. They care about the viewership. They need to know how many people are actually watching this. Is this generating enough revenue? Are people actually like taking a look at this? Whether it's good reviews or bad, they need those numbers.
Of course.
And if they don't have enough numbers, even if it's a bad show, like it's not gonna make it. We've had shows that were fantastic that were canceled on the first season.
Yeah.
And so like it just takes the viewership.
I think if like HBO was as readily available across the globe as Amazon Prime is, I think House of the Dragon would actually be beating it in views. I think the House of the Dragon is like kind of stunted because if you're outside of the US, you can't get HBO, so you're not watching it there. In Ireland and England, I don't know what the rest of Europe is like, but I know in Ireland and England, you have to have Sky Digital, like which is like a television package like from a specific company, and they have a partnership with HBO, but they call it Sky Atlantic. So if you don't have Sky and you don't have HBO, you can't watch the show. So like I have to torrent it. I don't care. Come at me.
Hey, bro.
It's like
or you have to get
I've no other option. Like I'm not paying for Sky. Sky's outrageous. The price of it is outrageous. I'm not paying for Sky just to watch one show. Like it's outrageous. It's not happening. So I mean, I'm torrenting that shit. I would pay for HBO all day long if I could. It's not available in my country.
I mean, I paid for Fubo just so I could watch hockey.
That's fine if you're gonna get used to it, but like House of the Dragon isn't on every day. You know what I mean?
That's true.
If it was, I would do that. But it is what it is. Like Yeah. So
great sport, by the way.
It's phenomenal, bro. It's incredible. You're gonna be hooked in no time.
I'm already like,
yes,
I'm so excited when I play. Like I'm literally like I don't want to get too far into it, but like I've already gotten to the point where I talked to Katie and I was like, can we buy some pennants? Can we buy tumblers? Can we buy like everything? I want to represent the team. I want to go. Let's go. So yeah. But anyways, yeah, huh?
Oh, ready for Andor talk?
I am ready. You wanted to remind me of something when we got to Andor. What was it?
We'll talk about the episode first.
Okay.
I felt like this episode was really boring in the beginning, and like at the halfway point, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is like an actual fun show to watch now."
20 minutes in, bro. I remember it. Do you know how I know it was 20 minutes in?
How's that?
Because I watched the episode twice because I liked it that much, and I just skipped the first 20 minutes when I watched it the second time.
I don't know how they did 20 minutes of them walking to the heist or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, whoever made that decision? Like, your characters are not good enough to carry a 20-minute conversation. Like, I just don't care, dude.
Bro, the entire series has been leading to the walking to the heist. It's not just 20 minutes of this episode.
Right.
It's been so dragged out. It's been crazy.
Yeah. Once they got to the heist, though, I thought it was pretty incredible. I thought that the people who are portraying and playing the Empire did a fantastic job. You know, these rebels showing their inexperience as people like, you know, on a mission trying to get this thing done. I think that came through really well. And I didn't realize like how they were actually going to bring the TIE fighters in. I thought that fucking chase scene was extraordinary, man. Just seeing like stormtrooper or TIE fighter pilots, whatever, like load up into TIE fighters, always exciting, always massively exciting.
Yeah, I loved it. It was probably one of the most like breathtaking episodes or breathtaking like scenes in Star Wars to watch during that like kind of meteor shower. It was just like phenomenal to see. We finally got to see some stormtroopers. We got to see the TIE fighters. You know, we got to see like Andor properly in action this time, and the heist sequence was great. I loved when the dude like I can't think of his name. The dude that like kind of revealed himself to be undercover for like 7 years, and I loved your man, the corporal's like voice, or his jaw just dropped, and he's like, "It's you." You're like, "You'll hang for this." And your man's like, yeah, working for you for 7.5 years, I deserve worse than being hung. Like, I was just like, oh, that was such a great line. Like, I loved it. But yeah, like this episode for me was the last kind of 25-30 minutes of the episode was fucking Star Wars, dude. I loved it. It just felt like Star Wars. Like, and the whole series up to now, like, it's crazy if you think about it that when we got like to this week's episode, we'd watched like 5 weeks of this show and not even seen a stormtrooper staunching around the place, and there was plenty of opportunity to show them, and we just didn't see them. So that's where my like kind of main gripe with the show is. It's like we're hearing them talk about the Empire, we're actually seeing the Empire now, but there's still no stormtroopers. Like it's just kind of crazy. Like all these like generals and stuff like that from the Empire in any of the other movies, any like time they walk anywhere, they're standing anywhere, they're surrounded by stormtroopers. Like these guys are being guarded by the stormtroopers. So I kind of knew that it was coming when this show started the episode, and we find out that one of the main rebels used to be a stormtrooper. The black guy used to be a stormtrooper, and I'm like, here we go. I knew straight away. I was like, this is it. This is going to be the episode, because the second they mentioned stormtrooper straight away, I was like, okay, this is it. We're kicking into gear now. And yeah, it was in my opinion, like hands down the best episode of the show. Would not be hard because the show for me has just been very hit and miss. Didn't like the first 2 episodes. Half of episode 3 was great. Episode 4 was kind of meh. Episode 5 starting to get a little better, and then this episode, yeah, I liked it. I'm in.
See, I don't think you need stormtroopers showing up everywhere to make it feel like it's a Star Wars show. I think that you have plenty of episodes in The Mandalorian where you don't really deal with the stormtroopers. You're dealing with other types of security officers, and it still feels like a Star Wars show. I think the show has just been so slow moving that people are bored with it, and they kind of attribute to the Star, like it doesn't feel like Star Wars because we're not seeing classic Star Wars stuff. But in reality, like I think we're seeing another side of the Star Wars universe, and that's what everyone always asks for. Like the stormtroopers would have been the goons in the 3rd episode who are running up, but they're trying to show that the Empire didn't have full control of everything yet and weren't fully invested, and that there were these like private little places that like had their own security forces. And it's because those forces, they weren't trying to take it seriously, that the Empire asserted more control and said, no, we're going to put our guys everywhere now because you can't handle this, and this is where the rebellion is being formed. We're gonna try and stuff it out. I just think that you know you can't have classic Star Wars at this point because like there's no rebellion. The rebellion is forming, but you can't have people who feel like the people in the rebels side because it's not there yet. They're still making it. You can't have X-Wings because we don't know what an X-Wing is yet. Like this is a weird in between of episode 3 and episode 4 that is episode it's just if it's a different universe because it's different time. Like everything's changing and we don't have those classic elements. If they would have thrown like I don't know what they could have put to make it feel like more Star Wars when you have like the classic 80s technology feel to it everywhere, where everything feels dirty, everything doesn't feel right, but it's still in the future. Like I think that's 100% Star Wars.
Yeah, like I don't need stormtroopers. Like I don't really care about the dudes in the helmets who can't shoot guns. Like it's not the stormtroopers, but I just feel like this show didn't feel like Star Wars at all. And like you mentioned the Mandalorian, yes, Mando's going to different planets and stuff like that, but he's still a Mandalorian. We're following a Star Wars character, like a Star Wars race of people. And then you bring in like a baby Yoda and we're, it's just familiar. Whereas this had no familiarity to it at all, and obviously the bits like you can sense the little trickles of the Empire, sorry, the rebellion coming, and now obviously that they've done this heist and they've got their 80 million credits, that's going to fund the rebellion. So like I honestly believe that the last like 5 episodes or whatever we have left, I think are going to be fire. I think they're going to be amazing. Like I wouldn't be shocked if we saw Vader. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw Palpatine. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw like the beginning of the Death Star, like them digging for the Kyber and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw all that. I think as well there might be a big reveal that the Skarsgård father, whatever his name is in the show, like that he might be like a Jedi in hiding or something like that because he's got a Kyber crystal around his neck. Or he knows a Jedi, maybe. I don't know. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like Cal Kestis popping in here or something. Like, I really think there will be some like very connective Star Wars tissue, but at the moment the show just feels so weird, and I think the pace is killing it as well. This week's episode, if you were to have the same pace in this week's episode for the second half of that episode, but not have like any TIE fighters or something, I still think it would have been as good. Like, I don't think the stormtroopers were needed for that episode to be what it was. It was just a nice touch to have them there, hearing the alarms going off, like the Empire alarms kind of brought me back to the Death Star, and hearing the TIE fighters swinging around and shooting and all. Obviously it was great, but I think the show would have still been as good if those little bits were kept out. Like if it was just other ships coming after them to try and shoot them out, like it wouldn't have taken any of the magic away from them escaping that heist. It would have still been great.
Yeah. True. Another thing I thought was great about this, I've always loved about Andor and Cassian Andor, how you didn't know if you could trust him or not in Rogue One, where he kills somebody right off the bat. And I love at the end of this episode that he just murders somebody. He understands, I guess the streets is like the best way to say it, right? He understands shady people. He knew right when that guy started talking about leaving with the money that he needed to kill him. Yeah. And he just murders him. He's just like, fuck it, I'm going to kill this guy. And that's the type of like spycraft stuff that I love in movies. And I love that that's in the Star Wars universe, and that they show that there's a less than righteous side of the rebellion where like you got to get your hands dirty and you got to do stuff that isn't, necessarily, just or right. Because you got to look out for your own back in this world when it comes to starting a rebellion, who to trust. And he just murders him. And I loved it, dude. That's like, that's my guy. There's Cassian. Finally.
The surgeon who tried to save the young guy's life.
Yeah.
Was he in the sequel trilogy or something? I recognize that character from something. He was in another Star Wars show or another Star Wars movie somewhere along the line. A sweatier nerd in the chat might know this, but I'm almost certain that he was in. I've seen him before in something else. I don't know if it was like episode 9 or something like, but he shows up somewhere. I
don't know.
And I thought that was kind of cool.
I know that he looks like that the bartender or the lady that owns the bar in episode 7, right? Or 7.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I know they're like your man, the little creature Babu Frick or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Is coming into the show before the end, and he was in episode 9. So that's why I think maybe this dude was in episode 9 as well.
Boba Frick is like my most hated, loved character. I can't stand how much people like him, but he
Yeah.
does. I get a kick out of him.
Yeah, it's just like when episode 9 came out, and you saw him, I'm just like, oh, here's another little, like, baby Groot, baby Yoda, this dude. I'm like, it's like, here's Disney again, like trying to sell us on little cute creatures, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, but it works. Like your kid is basically all over Groot, right?
Yeah. Well, he was for a very short time, but I know he would. he enjoys rewatching the episodes, but yeah, the Babu Frick thing didn't work for me at all. I didn't give a shit about him at all, and I think it was just maybe just I was very sour about the sequel trilogy. So I think there was no saving grace in that. If Yoda popped back into the show, like resurrected somehow, or into those movies, I still wouldn't have cared. I just think there was no saving that sinking ship at all.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, bro. Like, I think, like, looking back on the entire week, I think we got some pretty good content, some kind of shaky content, but House of the Dragon wins the week for me, and I think
Yeah.
House of the Dragon's going to win next week too.
I agree.
Yeah.
Walking away with it, man.
Walking away easily, strolling with it, like no competition out there. So we got Rings of Power done and She-Hulk done. Like, in next week's episode of the podcast, we're gonna have no Marvel to talk about. It's gonna be kind of strange.
There'll be some news. We got a little kind of preview coming up. Kind of Forever's coming out soon,
Right?
right?
Stuff we can cover.
True. Yeah, like, I'll have, for next week's podcast, I will have seen Black Adam as well. I'm going to see it on opening night, so big DC fan right here. So I'm looking forward to it. I think the whole world knows about the after credit scene at this stage. Like, they know what's coming, so it's going to be interesting. And yeah, like, I think there's definitely going to be Marvel news because Feige's kind of pushed the brakes and delayed a lot of stuff going forward. So I think there's probably going to be some news coming out for projects that are coming up.
Yeah. Feige likes to fuck with DC too. Like, hey, here's a big DC release. Let me drop some bombshell Marvel news to eat up the news.
I would not be surprised, right? And this is a little bit of a prediction, but I find it kind of strange that people this week have been talking about Spider-Man, and I would not be surprised that if that's intentional. And next Thursday, so a day before the release of Black Adam, I would not be surprised if Feige comes out and announces Spider-Man 4. honestly, that's my prediction right now. So Thursday, Spider-Man 4 announcement. That's my prediction for the week.
I'm predicting the Fantastic Four casting announcements.
Oh, that'll be good, dude.
Yeah, like, he's just gonna drop it all.
Yeah, that'd be good. I actually heard, speaking of that, just before we break up for the week, I heard a rumor for Reed Richards casting. Have you seen the Netflix show Lucifer?
Yes.
The main guy, Tom Ellis, is his name. So apparently, he's rumored to be Reed Richards, or
he's got that kind of
rumored
like long
to be
face look,
rumored to be in the hat for it anyway.
Cool.
That's a good fitting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see who they find the cast.
Yeah, like I think so. And, like, Doom, we got Doom right around the corner. Like, the rumors are Doom's actually going to be in Black Panther 2, so that's going to be extreme.
Hey, Henry Cavill's in Black Adams. Oh, guess what? He's also in our movies as Doom.
Bro, if they lodged Cavill as Doom, that would just be absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. After everything The Rock's done to bring him back into the DCEU, and it's like, actually, no, we're gone. He's coming over.
We're out of here.
Oh, that's so funny, dude. Guys, if you're new to the chat, we do this every Sunday. We're on 10 p.m. GMT, 5 p.m. Eastern, and you can catch replays here. You can catch them on Spotify. So we'll see you in the next one. Take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.